2015 is upon us. I want to keep the momentum of cutting-edge, thought-provoking content that is not entangled in the politics and propaganda of Hollywood. With that said, today's show is very important. The revolution can never be televised because it's mental. How to deprogram from media propaganda, your mind is the real battlefield, is today's topic. And I think it's important that we cover this because what's an original thought? You know, do we question how we're programmed in the culture and society in which we were raised? It's important, you know. We're going to talk about the media. We're going to talk about history. You know, that movie, man, you know, where these white folks is in Egypt, just kind of pissed me off because you get to tell the story how you want to tell the story. Whoever wins the war gets to rewrite history. So now history is propaganda. It's his story, right? So this show wants to cover what we've accepted to be true socially. Is that a type of propaganda? We want to even talk about relationship propaganda. You know, putting your best foot forward because you want to convey a particular idea. You want to propagate an idea as opposed to being who you really are. So this show is going to cover that, man, and it's going to be so powerful, bro. Especially in light of what's happening in the world, you know. ISIS, 9/11, Al-Qaeda, you know. If the money is fake, if the religion is fake, who's to say that the politics isn't a play, right? Isn't a theatrical play. So we're going to cover this whole thing. Zoe What Morning Show is back in the building on T-Radio V exclusively. That's TRadioV.com every Monday, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's a cold platform that we're creating here. And we want to invite you to tell your friends. Don't just watch the shows. We don't have all the answers, of course. Don't just watch them. Discuss them. And most importantly, please share them. Feel me? We'll be back in a little bit with the start of the show. It's going to be crazy today. January 12th, 2015. Zoe What Mornings. I'm out.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
I'm a relationship hacker.
Run up and get touched up, suicide. And all of y'all know my style. I excel, then prevail. Run up and get touched up, suicide, that's it. And all of y'all know my style. I excel, then prevail.
Come on, I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
Y'all see that intro?
Traumatic stress, yes, so high blood pressure. A prescription for medical marijuana. I just quit smoking Newports and now I eat twice as much as I used to and cuss niggas out for no reason. My woman always be bitching about me taking her out, but I'm broke. Only got enough money to eat and to smoke. If not, somebody might get choked out. I keep a shotgun loaded right next to my bed.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Zoe What Morning Show back in the building. Man, that new Zoe What Morning Show intro was cold.
I'll be putting something to that.
Hey, let me run through it real quick. You know how we do.
I'm going home tonight. Fuck with you.
Community empowerment. It's important that we recycle black dollars. Very, very important. Via Skin Science. My homegirl Rita G. You guys go to viaskinscience.com. Viaskinscience.com. Check her out. All homeopathic, natural. She created it with her own hands. Very good stuff. I use it all the time. Dope stuff. Please support her. Of course, We Juice. Gotta support WeJuice.com. Black-owned business. Young brother, fitness guru. Gotta support everything that we're trying to do. Also, I'm telling you right now, I only have 25 of these left. Only 25. If you order right now at my website, IamZoeWilliams.com, I will throw my lecture on religion right here like this. I will sign it and mail it off tomorrow. If you act right now, you got to go to IamZoeWilliams.com and order the last remaining 25 copies of The Rebirth of Seeds. These are the last physical copies I have, and what will ultimately happen is when I'm out on the website, it'll say out of print, out of stock. We're not printing these up again. As I said before in earlier show, in last week's show, I found a half a box of these in my closet over the new year when I was cleaning up, and I was like, wow, I got another set here, half a box, which is 50 copies. Now I'm down to 25. You got to move on it right now. IamZoeWilliams.com. I'll throw my God class lecture into that. Also, if you already have The Rebirth of Seeds, you can get the God class volume 1 at cdbaby.com. And you go on CD Baby and you search the God class volume 1, and you could just get a digital download of it. And I would gratefully and graciously appreciate any support that you guys could offer us to keep us in business, to keep us moving. So please move on that right now. Call to action, IamZoeWilliams.com, cdbaby.com, the God Class Volume 1, and also the final 25 copies of The Rebirth of Seeds. Also, Real Men Don't Play, authored by authored by my uncle Bobby Glanton Smith. Please support the brothers. Very, very good stuff. This is a manual for black manhood. He does lectures with a bunch of prominent guys like Keith David, Jim Brown, Lionel Hollins. I mean, it's Sam Watson. Very, very powerful work put together by Bobby Glanton Smith. Also, gotta support Dr. Mark Goulston. Real Influence, as well as Just Listen. Just Listen and Real Influence are bestsellers by Dr. Mark Goulston. You got to support the doc. The doc has written the foreword to my new book, The Relationship Dismount, how to leave or how to stick the landing when leaving a negative relationship. It's a breakup book about how to break up properly without any relationship residue or debris carrying that baggage forth. The Relationship Dismount. Dr. G wrote the foreword to it, and it will be coming out this Valentine's Day. So the second Zoe Williams book is about to land, and I'm excited about that. Also, you see, I'm rocking it. It's icy. You got to go to Elephant. As a matter of fact, we got a quick little video. Elephant, I got the shirt on. Very nice flyness. I got the sweatshirt on. Please go to the video real quick and get a look at this company out of New York.
Our blood, sweat, and tears is in the ground here. We built this country. I mean, we are as a part of America as anybody else. America is a melting pot. You know, some people, were brought here from other countries by choice. Other people were brought here by force. But the fabric of America is a part that we're interwoven into, from the very beginning. Everything is made in New York. There should be a responsibility from American designers to want to get things made here. I mean, just for the labor force, and just so you can really be in tune with the product. We're not just sending off sketches and patterns over to somewhere that doesn't really care about what is being translated. So the feeling you should get is like, you should know that I'm in the garment district, in the factories, and correcting the people that are working on product. And then when you actually get the product, when you lift it and you feel the weight and you feel the texture, you should know that love is in it.
First is always kind of starts on paper. Jackson kind of comes up with a few.
I mean, they dope.
Ideas, and we scramble through a
They
few
dope,
ideas.
man. I like to support cutting, innovative, fly people, man. It's out of New York. The look is collegiate. You know, if you like J. Crew, if you like Banana Republic, if you like Polo, that's the look. Please go support this group, man. These group of brothers, man. They got some really, really fly stuff. Tell them Zoe Williams sent you. They're going to treat you with respect. And I promise you, they're going to get your orders to you ASAP. Also, I'm going to keep supporting this brother because his business has evolved. He's a smarter businessman now, and his work is good as well. Go to Ramomart and support this brother too at ramomart.com. He has the Egyptian-themed gear, but he's transitioning from Egypt to Assyria now. So a lot of his stuff has an Assyrian look. It's so dope, man. It's so fly. Super talented brother. Super talented brother. Everything is dope. I appreciate it. Also, a lot of people been asking about Truth. I got a quick video. Check out this video from my homeboy Truth. It's an introduction to Truth, man. Check him out right now.
Hip-hop has been the soundtrack of a generation for over 20 years. In that time, I've seen it undergo a myriad of schizophrenic changes. For example, I personally watched my people exchange big-ass gold chains and jerry curls for African medallions, dreadlocks, and twists. I then bore witness to the rise of sexually violent and explicit lyrics. In response, the music industry went out of its way to replace positivity and cultural consciousness with criminality, misogyny, and pathological individualism. This paradox is eerily reminiscent to what happened in the 70s when the movie Shaft first hit the theaters. Following the assassinations of Dr. King and Malcolm X, Shaft was a breath of fresh air. To many, Shaft was a civil rights hero. Shaft was an ex-cop who quit the force in order to become a private investigator. He was then able to police his people and keep corrupt police officers in check. As a rebuttal to Shaft, Hollywood gave us super.
Yo, y'all hear PTSD? Can I get PTSD up under me real quick? Boycott Christmas. Y'all don't understand. This is my homeboy since 12 years old. 7th grade. He in the building right now. Truth. What up, man?
Man, it's good to be here, man.
Hey,
Good to see you.
really quickly, man. Tell these folks why you making records like this.
Because hip hop sucks right now. It's non-informative.
You just gonna go at their neck like that right off the top. Speaking to Mike.
Yeah, they suck, man. We need some help. And so I decided to get back on the mic and do my thing so that I can enjoy what I hear.
Come out of retirement, basically.
Pretty much.
Where do they find that Vimeo video?
Oh, yo, well, I'm going to have that up tomorrow, man. I'm going to have that up tomorrow, so I can't give you a location yet, but you will be able to find it on my Facebook page.
So a lot of people think, hey, Zoe, where these Truth records at? I can't find these Truth records. Oh my God, I'm getting inundated with emails. Well, that Truth is bananas. What's happening? Where is it?
I appreciate that. What you can do
Where
is
can they get it?
You can locate Boycott Christmas on Beat Cartel at CD Baby. And I'm gonna have everything up for you tomorrow. Right now, all you can get is the Boycott Christmas because I want to make sure the mix is right so people ain't complaining about the quality.
You wanted to bang.
Right, I can't have them, not bumping, so we gotta get
Got you. Listen, we gotta go. When we come back, topics, guests, it's about to get crazy. Zoe What Morning Show. You know how we do. Holla at you in a second.
To any military campaign, black people tend not to understand propaganda. And the reason why we tend not to understand propaganda is because the propaganda channels, the mediums, the conduits, the radio, the television, the newspaper, we tend to just treat as forms of entertainment. We don't see them as military strategies. When there's a movie depicting black people in a negative image, when there's caricatures in the newspaper making jokes about black people, we tend to just see it as political entertainment. We don't see it as laying the foundation before the storm. That's exactly what they did in Wilmington. You always seek to create a context that allows your military campaign to be acceptable. There's always context. You study Adolf Hitler in Nazi Germany. He had a propaganda campaign that lasted over a year before he began to physically oppress the Jews. He had to make sure that the national mindset had been conditioned to accept the extermination to come. In Wilmington, North Carolina, the same exact thing happened years before Nazi Germany. Through the magazines, through the radio, through word of mouth, through stage play, they created negative images of black people in the minds of white folk in case there were any liberals who would have been against what they were going to do. They were slowly able to reform their opinion by constantly repeating negative information about the target population. See, the one thing about the brain that we got to understand is the creature of repetition. Whoever has the most access to the brain rules the brain. It's all about volume, not quality. The more you tell people that a certain group of people are no good, the more you show images, the more you show sounds, song, poem, dance, projecting negative information about a people, sooner or later the subconscious begins to get conditioned automatically, because you can't turn off the subconscious to what it sees and what it hears. Sound and image, you cannot stop it except to stay away from it. So sound and image are critical to any propaganda campaign because they help lessen the defenses of anyone who may be against what you're trying to do. It's the same thing happening right now. There is a direct assault on the image of the black man and woman internationally. So when mass incarceration, homicide takes place, nobody cares what's happening to black folk because they've already been conditioned to believe that these people are better off dead anyway. So propaganda is the first stage of military warfare. Right now, we're being set up for another extermination campaign. It's going to be worse than what went on in Wilmington, Tulsa, Charleston, Rosewood. It's going to be worse. Whenever the propaganda gets worse, then you know the extermination is going to be that much worse, because you see how far the exterminator had to go in order to condition the people to prepare them for the carnage to come.
White guy like me co-hosting a black radio show. I think toxic relationships cause you to take poor care of yourself. That if you can recognize danger, if you can pause, if you can take some breaths, refocus, and engage, you might be able to dodge a bullet that you're going to send or coming towards you. One of the things that men don't get is that often women need to vent first to clear their mind. Whoa, where's my mambo music? I miss it now.
Oh, that was some mambo music there.
That was cool.
That was mambo.
That was good. Gee,
you like that, huh? Nice new look for Dr. G.
You put a nice sheen on your token white guy.
Hey,
really, I'm proud of you, man.
Yeah. What is this white guy doing here? Why?
Go
ahead, Doctor.
Anyway, I want a plug for community empowerment. Last week I mentioned something called Exam Performance, examperformance.com, and if you go to examperformance.com. I think there was an email that we made available. Yeah, no, that's the research that says it actually works. Go to examperformance.com. Oh, here it is. Admin at examperformance.com. ADMIN at examperformance.com, and you will. And say, Dr. Mark sent you, you'll get this free for your kid. If you have a kid who chokes on the SAT and is all freaked out about standardized test taking, we have all the state-of-the-art sports psychology, performance psychology by the guy who coached the Seattle Seahawks last year to the Super Bowl. They're sports psychologists. So you have a kid who's freaking out, go to admin at examperformance.com, say Dr. Mark sent you. Now, in terms of today's show, which is about, something about the media. What you have to realize when you're listening to the media is whoever you're listening to, and that includes us, is that two people above us don't even know what our show's about. They just care about ratings.
Wow.
And the point is, we try to be true to ourselves, but we often have to care about ratings. And I'm a medical doctor, so I have to watch this. So there's something called the Good Men Project that I've become a part of, and I wrote this blog called Why Men Use Porn and How to Get Yours to Stop.
Wow.
And they put it up a few days ago. It has over 7,000 views. And then they're scrolling down to something that says, check the comments from 1999, because I wrote this in 1999 at a women's site. And when they go to this thing, there were over 500 comments from people telling me I'm out of my mind, to the doc's got it right, porn ruined our life, to people writing in full fonts like I'm addicted to it, I can't stop it, and it just goes on and on and on. So what you have to realize when you're listening to anyone, even the most credible person, even Anderson Cooper, I don't know if he's credible, but I got to tell you, when he has a good show, he goes to his executive producer and says, you think it did well? You think it did well? And it wasn't, was this meaningful? It's like, how do you think the ratings are? So just don't take what you hear over the media that seriously and as God's honest truth, because in order to stay in the media, we have to get ratings.
And speaking of ratings, there's nothing like late Geoff.
Hey, man.
This is 2012 Geoff right here.
Well, I got to go with kids first.
I ain't mad at you.
I'll explain to you off the air.
You missed the new intro. Ah, jeez. Truth is here. You missed Truth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
Okay, I'm over it.
Yeah. So, with that said,
Nice hat, man.
today's topic is going to be crazy. Let me just tell you what it is. The revolution can never be televised. Why? Because it's mental. How to deprogram from media propaganda. Your mind is the real battlefield. Why does this matter? Does anybody ever question why? Let's just do this. Why was the news coverage, CNN's coverage of Ferguson, so produced? You know how Doc was just talking about Anderson Cooper, and it goes back to his executive producers. Why was it so sensationalized? Up to the minute. Ferguson, do it.
Ferguson, up to the minute.
Right?
Do you want to know what these porch monkeys are doing?
Right.
Tune in now.
Right? Don Lemon got the worst journalism award, right? The worst journalist in journalism. He got that award. The guy is not reporting the news. He's kind of creating the news. He's even making up stuff that isn't even true.
Hey, you guys, guess what? It's all their fault. It's all their fault.
Right? Remember the incident that happened between him and Talib Kweli? And Talib was like, hey, man, you're reporting something that ain't true. These people aren't out here fighting. These people are out here protesting peacefully, and you're trying to turn it into this war between them and the over-militarized police. You know, right? He got the civil rights movement wrong. I mean, even Jesse Jackson was like, wait a minute, son, that's not what happened. There was some peaceful marches, but we also fought too, right? And he had to clear it up because he was trying to convey this peaceful protest narrative as if to say, this is how you should protest, and these young kids aren't doing it. And there was this conflict. Lemon got a lot of flack for that. We're talking about propaganda today. Yep. How are public relations firms, the PR industries, related to propaganda? I had one PR person take a picture that I took with her and colored my gray. I said, don't color my gray.
Whoops.
What are you doing? What kind of image are you trying to portray? I didn't like it. Yank that picture down. I don't want to portray no falsity, no lie. But isn't that what propaganda is about? Conveying a particular ideology. Propaganda, from the Latin, right? Meaning to propagate. And it's no freaking wonder that the word propaganda originated where? The Catholic Church. A collection of cardinals whose job is to go propagate an ideology. What was the ideology?
Jesus is the way.
Jesus. The Catholic Church is the remix of the Roman Empire. So when Rome fell, another seat out of Rome came to power, and that was the Catholic Church.
Wow.
Come on, man. Propagating an idea. Does the media propagate ideas, or do they report the truth? Let's go deeper into it. Is your relationship representative? Who's heard of the relationship representative? Putting your best foot forward, right?
Never get a second chance.
Right. This is my ideal self versus my real self, because I'm putting my best foot forward so I can impress you. And then once I've done that and I've scored the touchdown, I can then revert back to who I really am. Is that a type of relationship propaganda? Come on, let's get into it. What's the worst form of propaganda? History or religion? Or is religion and history interchangeable? Are they both, the products of the same thing? And which was the most effective use of propaganda? 9/11? ISIS? It's a big thing going on right now. France is having its version of 9/11 right now. Correct? Why is it that the narrative remains consistent even though the geography doesn't? Why is Islam and Muslims at the forefront of the face of terrorism?
Because there was no CNN.
I'm just saying, in the world ain't no white terrorists.
Timothy McVeigh?
That was the last time I heard of one.
Yeah.
Back in the day, whites had a lock on serial killers and terrorists, and they had a lock on it, right?
Killing people they didn't
Killing
know.
people. There was a lot of Charlie Mansons back in the day. All of a sudden, they're gone.
Do you think, television came out, after World War II, right? A couple of years after. Maybe television after World War II was the opiate of the masses, because you had to calm people down, because after the war people were freaked out, and now it's become the cocaine of the masses. And so what you have to do now is, we all know that the thrill of an adrenaline rush is exceeded by the awful feeling of an adrenaline crash. So you have to keep them high on adrenaline, and what's good about keeping them high is they buy. Whereas after World War II, the whole country's been traumatized. We lost hundreds of thousands of people. Let's calm them down with the TV pablum of the 1950s. So do you think any of that's true, that we have the cocaine of the masses?
Listen, before television, there was radio. Theater of the mind, to keep the mind engaged.
Oh, and FDR was very calming with those fireside chats. It's all going to be okay. I know it's all going to hell in a wastebasket, but it's all going to be okay. Hey, look, I can't even walk, and I'm fine.
Right? Before radio, what was there? It was theater and print. When America attacked in the 90s Saddam Hussein and Iraq, the first thing they dropped on them was pamphlets in Arabic. Propaganda. We have to promote an idea. In order to get American people on board to support something, we've got to promote an idea. In order to get our savior in office, we've got to believe in the idea of change, which Reagan ran on the idea of change. Do you see? The real battle is what you think. If I can control how you think and what you think, which goes back to education, do they teach you how to think, or do they teach you what to think? Because if I teach you what to think at a very young age, I can set you up for my control for the rest of your life. I hear the music. We're about to take a quick break. When we come back, all of our guests will be here. We'll be able to chime in on this. Hey, the phone to dial, the number to dial, because I want to hear from people today. 855-878-4652. That's the number to dial. 855-878-4652. Holler at us. We'll be back at 2.2.
In-depth studies of the personalities of the people they're dealing with, too, culturally. It always helps. It's a thing of, you can take their culture and use it against them.
How large would you say an extensive collection on our culture would you say the FBI has? Would you rate it as large as a particular library, like the Schomburg Library in Harlem? Or
I would rate it better. I would rate it better, and the fact is that they go into details that we probably would overlook. Will Heaton used to meet me in different places. You know, Will Heaton, that was one of my supervising agents. There is a certain bar in the Los Angeles area where people into black cultural things met, and Will Heaton used to meet me there. And he would go into very long and tiring conversations with some very articulate brothers about culture, African culture.
I want to show you a little 3-minute clip of the minister that Dr. King was going by his house for dinner. He was due at 7, but they had to move it up for 7 to be a little too dark to shoot somebody. So they moved it to 6 o'clock. 2 years ago at a press conference in Memphis, I get a call. They said, so-and-so was thinking about killing so-and-so. I said, what? I said, well, he said something at a press conference. I said, put him on the phone. I said, whatever you do, get that film. But once NBC realized what this brother had slipped and said, we would never get our hands on the film. What you fixing to see now went into the evidence in the King trial where they brought a wrongful death suit, and I'll explain that to you quickly in a minute. But what you're fixing to witness now is the man who came by to get King to take him to dinner. And 30 years later at a press conference, he slipped because God do baffle your mind sometimes. Getting mad and upset because the same system that's killing us refuse to tell us the truth. You have to use your own God-given intelligence. If we was all over in Germany today walking down the street and we see this big old building and it's named after Adolf Hitler, you don't have to be too smart to realize something evil is going on inside that building. How come you don't understand that when you walk down in Washington, D.C. and see that big old brand new FBI building named after J. Edgar Hoover? How come we don't know something evil is going on inside that building?
Wow. Yikes. Yikes, 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 yikes. Propaganda is today's topic. Is the war between the black man and the black woman a media-generated social narrative / propaganda, form of propaganda?
Propaganda fed, certainly.
Damn. Where do your standards for choosing your man come from? Who gave them to you? Have you ever challenged them? Have you ever looked at a black man objectively and looked at the forces that put him in the situation he has to survive in every day? Do you even factor that in? That's a tough question to ask. What are we going to do about the propaganda, Bobby?
Well, you first of all need to know what propaganda to give to the proper goose.
Uh-oh. That's why you here. Talk to us, brother.
Don't get him with it, Uncle Bobby.
No, you know, we live in a consequential world. I mean, we were given at birth some tools to work with, and what we do with those tools becomes somebody else's business the minute that we relinquish that authority and that power. You mentioned slavery, and you mentioned all these other things, and how we have been predisposed to feel a certain way about pretty much everything based on that conditioning. But at some point, you can impose your free will and then reprogram yourself based upon what it is that you're seeking out of life. So you're going to get what you deserve at the end of the day. And I still choose to think for myself and try to associate with people who are likewise inclined.
Wow, likewise inclined. I told you he's a Southern sophisticate. Very intelligent brother. I love Bobby G. Truth.
Yo.
Have you ever experienced propaganda? Can you see it when you're watching the news? And give us an example of propaganda as it manifests today currently through whether it's Fox News or whatever. Talk to me about it.
Well, I mean,
speak to the mic.
Fox News is the most racist thing I've ever seen. And I laugh at my parents sometimes because they're older folks and they like to watch it. You know, my father, he likes to get out and check out what's being said about black people. And
What makes Fox News racist, though?
The slant that they give. I mean, it's always slanted. It's always about putting us in the most negative possible light. They go out of their way. They find coons that they can put in front of us that'll tell them anything that they want to hear negative about us. But the way propaganda really, really manifests itself in the field that I'm in hip-hop, for instance, I like to call it the Superfly effect. Like when Shaft came out, Shaft was revolutionary, and he gave black young men and women hope for that type of individual.
Wait. Before you finish that thought, are you telling me the movie industry creates content that's propaganda?
Exactly.
Go deeper.
Exactly.
Say more.
All right, so then Shaft had to be counteracted by Superfly. You know, whereas Shaft was a brother with an afro who dark-skinned cat, didn't even seem like he liked cream in his coffee. You know, he went against the police, he went against negativity.
Went against the system.
Yeah. Now, he drove a Cadillac and he was always smooth, right? So they replaced it with Superfly, who had his own Cadillac, you know, and he was always smooth too, but he sold cocaine.
And light-skinned with a perm.
With a perm. The opening scene in the movie was him in bed with a white woman sniffing cocaine, you know?
Wow.
And so his thing was, let me show you how to use what the man has given us in order to come up out of the ghetto, right? And that's the same thing with hip-hop today. When there was a Public Enemy, people responded properly to negative nonsense, right? Whereas, you know, they had to replace that with an NWA or a Superfly, if you will, you know, which is going to show you need to hustle.
So you're saying...
Wow.
That was heavy.
That's real talk.
You're saying NWA is to Superfly.
It's the Shaft, yeah.
Right,
as Shaft is to PE.
Is to PE.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
That's big. Jeff?
I don't even know you, but I love you. I love this dude now. Oh my God.
I don't even know.
Speaking, I don't need him.
I don't need him. I don't need him.
Love it.
IOWNEEBM. I don't need him.
Wow. Speak to it, Jeff.
Wow. To me, I was trying to say this for the rant, but you got to watch anything that's too easy. Anything that comes to you too easy. In the words of my grandfather, beware of the fish that jumps in the boat.
Hallelujah, granddaddy.
You can't, man. You can't. Every time I watch something, if I watch a commercial, every second of a televised program is a program. It is something that has been set up for your brain to run. And so many of us just take what we see at face value, especially black people. And I think it comes from an expressed need to get away from the social terror that we put on ourselves and that's put on us. We got to get away from it. I got to get away. So that's better. Whatever this says is better than whatever I'm living. So I'll take this and I'll try to get there, whatever there is.
Right.
White picket fence there.
Right.
2.5 cars in the suburbs there is where I'm trying to get.
Right.
And this propaganda thing, it'll help me get there.
Right.
It'll help me. It's better than this.
Right. So think about it. Money's propaganda. It's fake, but you think it's real. You think it's valuable. Right. God is propaganda. It's fake. And when I say God, some people think I'm just talking about Christianity. When I say God, I really mean religion and not God.
Right.
I can't comprehend God.
I got you.
God's bigger than the book.
Yeah.
So I fuck with God, and I don't fuck with religion.
Trying to shove God into a book.
You know what I'm saying? I know that there's something out there greater, bigger, and that pervades through me and beyond me and within me and all that. I can't wrap all of me around all of it. But I damn sure can wrap my pinky finger around all of religion.
Yeah.
All them bitch ass stories I got. Okay? But I'm just saying. But the point that I'm trying to make, if money is fake and God is fake, you know, I'm in power. I get to rewrite history, which is rewriting religion. I can make a movie and make Moses white and say, fuck y'all.
I am your God. I am all powerful.
Right?
I'm broke.
So if God is fake and money is fake, how can politics be real? It has to be a play in order. Do you understand? Everything is ideological. If I control the ideas that flow through your mind, if I control the software that's running on your hard drive, I have control of you. Doc, and then you.
To build on something that Geoff said, you know, what is real is the unfulfilled need and sometimes desperate need in people. If you think of radical extremists, they're not born that way. Something happens, and there's a saying I've heard that people who feel put down and pushed away find a way to get in and get even. And so imagine yourself that your choice is to feel both ridiculed, ignored, and belittled, and powerless. And here, if you step on something, you have the power to terrorize people in power. That's pretty seductive. So I think it's the unfulfilled need that then fuels. If we can give them just a taste of this, we can hook them. And then once we hook them, we can take them wherever we want them to go.
Woo! Wait, we got a caller, Geoff. You want to bring him in? Randy, bring him in.
Yes, so we have a caller on the line. Is he actually on the line? He is definitely on the line. There we go. Hey, Randy.
Hey, what's going on, Brother Zell?
Hey, turn your life down. We can hear everything happening in your life.
Yeah. Them kids about to start fighting in the background over a jelly sandwich. We heard.
Real quickly, you guys were talking about propaganda. You guys were talking about media portraying things. To me, I look at it all like the revolution will be televised. It can't be because everything is spiritual about the revolution. What I mean by that is media is just propaganda. It's information given through a medium to influence you spiritually. And so what happens is when you have propaganda that says the black man is evil and the black man kill each other, it makes the spirit of the white man look upon the black man as though they deserve to be killed over a pack of cigarettes or be killed over a one cigarette. And so the revolution can't be televised because what we're trying to do is we're trying to build the black people up to let them know, hey, walk in your godhood. And once you walk in your godhood, there's no information that can be given through a medium that can destroy you. And that's the revolution that's going around. You have a bunch of protesters and people standing together. It's because, hey, we need to get our message across and change the spiritual atmosphere to the people in power. Let them know that we're not going to just stand here and get slaughtered.
Wow, that was hot monkey cheese right there. I love it, man. I love the way you broke that down. We appreciate it. That's what has to happen. What do you want to say, Geoff? Take us to break, man.
Okay, to piggyback on something you said about religion is not real and money ain't real, so how real is politics? Okay, if I'm playing cops and robbers with my son, but I'm not a real cop, and he's not a real robber, and these ain't real guns, am I really shot?
Yes, you are really shot.
Only in only in here.
Well, I always tell my son this, and then we're going to break. It's a game, but it has real consequences. You die in the game, you die in real life.
Wow.
The Matrix. We'll be back at 2.2. Holla! So what? Propaganda!
And unlimited slave labor. Slave labor needed to produce the unnecessary goods sold to these slaves. Slaves to persuasion and influence. In reality, these are debt slaves, since they can't even afford the things they buy. Even in times of peril and economic meltdown, At the orders of their president, they must keep consuming.
These dudes are putting out trailers, man. It says flames of war, the fighting has just begun. Basically, they're saying, come to Papa. Why are we helping them? Why are we falling right into their trap? One of the things that Osama bin Laden said when he was alive was, hey, look, we don't think we can defeat you militarily. We're not stupid. We just want to drain you of all your money as you spend trillions of dollars fighting us. It costs us very little to fight you. It costs you guys $1 trillion or trillions of dollars to fight us.
No doubt it was gratifying to Nathan Rothschild to be the first to hear the news of Napoleon's defeat. Thanks to the swiftness of the Rothschild couriers, he heard it fully 48 hours before Major Henry Percy delivered Wellington's official dispatch to the British cabinet. But no matter how early he heard it, the news from Waterloo was anything but good from Nathan's point of view. He had bargained for something much more protracted. Now he and his brothers were sitting on top of a pile of cash that nobody wanted to pay for a war that was over. With the coming of peace, the great armies that had fought Napoleon could be disbanded. That meant no more gold for soldiers' wages, and it meant the price of gold, which had soared during the war, would fall.
It has nothing to do with national security. Matter of fact, our national security is more jeopardized by permitting this to happen because we're liable to start a war. We're liable to have our military men killed. We're liable to have more attacks on us by terrorists. I do not think it's effective. I think it drums up more anti-American hostility.
I see no threat to our national security. There's no convincing evidence that Iraq is capable of threatening the security of this country. Very little reason, if any, to pursue a war.
The Iranians have repeatedly said they want to wipe Israel off the map. Take military action to keep Iran from having a nuclear weapon.
You have to take whatever steps are necessary to break its capacity to have a nuclear weapon.
The Iranians are the existential threat to the state of Israel.
Without a shadow of a doubt,
Leaves no doubt.
Iran will take a nuclear weapon. They will use it to wipe our ally Israel off the face of the map.
Iraq, build up the war propaganda. There was no Al-Qaeda in Iraq.
Okay.
It's time we quit this.
Wow. 855-878-4652. Please get to your phone lines right now. I'm taking callers. If you're listening to the show live, call us right now, 855-878-4652. James, man, this is our special guy, man. James always comes in and drops really heavy science on us. Talk to me about propaganda and how the American public have been misled. Give us some concrete examples. Is 9/11 a concrete example? Is ISIS a concrete example? If so, how? Do you have any information?
Sure. Well, I was the working business colleague of a gentleman by the name of Walter Board, who wrote a book called Operation Mind Control. It was the exposure of behavior modification for political means and warfare and propaganda, primarily propaganda. And propaganda, the father of propaganda was a guy that most of you have probably heard, Edward Bernays. But Bernays did a limited stance on the effect of propaganda as technology is implemented and given to the public. It changes public perception of how people process information and so forth. So one of the things I was on the board of directors of the Marshall McLuhan Center on Global Communications, and this was basically a study of how technology affects human perception and propaganda. For instance, like primarily what people don't understand as they're listening to this or watching it is both visual and acoustic effects affect the outflow of information and how people process it in terms of what ideas are. If everything's shut off here now and we just go strictly acoustic, if I change the way in which I speak and the rate and speed of how I say it, it's received differently.
NLP, neuro-linguistic programming.
Sure. John Grinder,
Yeah.
Richard Bandler,
Yeah.
they both worked at CIA, and this stuff was put together by it's a toolbox between Milton Erickson, Virginia Satir, Gregory Bates, and so forth, and these tools were put together for NLP. Now, in terms of propaganda, the best way to implement propaganda is always through a group environment when there's already preordained sort of entrainment. Entrainment is where a group, like at a concert is, where everybody's in sync. When people are in a movie, they're in a state of entrainment. And you can drop embedded commands and so forth and post-hypnotic suggestions in those environments when you're in a state of entrainment. Watching television is acoustic, but it's also visual. But Marshall McLuhan used to say that it's tactile. You're not really watching TV, it's watching you.
Wow.
And now advertising, when I was exposing all the banks and credit card companies and how they advertise and get everybody to get into debt, I was taking all the frames of all their advertisements they were doing and just destroying them, basically. There's a book that's written, and this would end it all for the advertising agencies in New York. It's called City as Classroom by Marshall McLuhan, and it goes through, and it's designed for children to understand the process of putting an idea into your head, anchoring it to you, and then the next time the commercial fires off, you respond, and then through a delayed response, it's referred to as the pizza effect, that a person will be behaviorally shifted to go buy a product because of the way it's made them previously feel. So this happens all the time. 911 was a great example of getting everybody into a state of kinesthetic visual trauma, and then getting everybody into group dynamic, and then putting massive amounts of disinformation layered over that trauma, and then have that trauma repeated over and over and over again. Show the bombing more and more and more, and every day over and over and over again, and then induce all this legislation and whatnot to inhibit our cognitive liberty.
Wow. Wow.
Wow.
Bobby?
You know, there was a news segment yesterday where it was a private school, and these young girls, these white kids, had taken their school photos, and the company took the liberty of taking all the blemishes out, the pimples and everything, and the young girls was like, I don't remember taking that photograph.
Wow.
And they rebelled against it because some of those young people actually had minds of their own and decided, I don't want people to think that I'm perfect, because they're not. And we have created a society in which the notion of beauty is one thing and the reality is another. And that's why a lot of times, particularly in a city like L.A., when you finally meet some of these people that you have adored all your life, you're like, damn, is that how you really look?
Wow. Wow.
Problematic.
Wow. Your mama was a banana. You rotting right in front of me. Listen, Corey Holcomb has just joined the fray. Corey, we talking about propaganda, right? And being in the entertainment business, Hollywood is all about propaganda. Do you think that's the main reason why Marshawn Lynch refuses to talk to the media, because he might not want to give them something they can spin on him? Because that's what it is. Propaganda is PR. I'll spin it anyway. This is how they can raise Mike Tyson up, and the same system that raised him up is the same system that tears him down. Is that the reason why maybe Marshawn Lynch ain't talking to nobody? Speak to me, brother.
Yeah, I think so. A lot of his teammates, the way they back him up and things they have said would lead you to think that is a fact. But I think we are all perpetrators of propaganda, because like a lot of times when girls get pregnant by me and I don't want them to have it, I throw a lot of propaganda their way so they don't keep it. So I'm just letting you know.
From over the house with pamphlets.
Right.
What kind of propaganda pamphlets you telling them? What do you tell them in that situation?
Well, the last time a girl was pregnant by me and I didn't want her to have it, I was like, man, all four of y'all gonna be pregnant at the same time.
Propaganda.
Yeah, that was propaganda, and it all worked out for me. So sometimes propaganda, I think we all use propaganda. That's all I'm trying to say.
Geoff Brown, how does our people, because we always use this analogy, if America is sick, right?
Black folk got AIDS.
We toe up.
Yeah.
Because I see us in a war, black people, men and women against each other. The sisters have a standard that was given to them by the success makers. This is how you become successful. The sisters we can't argue this, or can we? Maybe we can. The sisters run our communities. They have the most power in our communities. They really do right now. So they dictate the rules of engagement with the brothers. And a lot of times, if you adopt a system that is blind to its own atrocities, you become blind to those atrocities too. So now you're looking at your man and you're telling your man to do a certain thing according to how you succeed, but because the system is blind to its atrocities, you become blind to the atrocities they propagate against your dude. So now your relationship standard is do as I do, get where I am, but you're blind to what's being perpetrated against your guy. They say, well, if I did it, you can do it. Well, no, you have a different path than we have. So let's speak to that when we come back from break. If you hear that in the background, that's the homeboy Truth. He in the building. Turn that up right now. Is that Boycott Christmas? I keep telling y'all, this boy is cold. The record's going to be coming out shortly. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to deal with those questions. Holla!
Wow. Jail. Where you go.
You're not going to introduce yourself?
I am not at this point.
What's happening, little homie?
Jail is where you go when you can't handle your own business or do your own thinking. They put you in there and they do the thinking for you, which is what I tell this gentleman sitting to my right. Jail of the mind is exactly what propaganda is. It is a place that your mind gets imprisoned willfully by you when you don't know any better. And the more of it you ingest, the further in jail you go, until eventually you get where the makers of the propaganda want you to be. Solitary confinement, where you are confined in your head so deep that anybody outside of that jail, there's no way for them to reach you. There's no way for them to communicate to you because you are fed and housed by the propaganda of your mind. Everything that you are seeing, reading, involving yourself with, places you are going, you have to view the subtext. I guess we will hear from this man to my right. This is my son, Blakey. I teach my son a lot, him and his sister, about economics. Blakey?
Yes?
You mind speaking to the people? What do you know about money and shopping?
Retail is for suckers.
Thank you, Blakey. Go on in the back room. Go on in the back room. The revolution starts today.
Right here.
Starts with that.
So, a lot of people have been talking about revolution. In my opinion, revolution, right, is the revolt against what they tell you is suitable to think.
Thought legislation.
Thought legislation. Do you see? That's deep. Freedom of speech, but say something and see what happens, right?
Which is what's going on now.
Say something, see what happens. Freedom of speech, but you're going to lose your job because of what you said.
Stephen A. Smith.
Right? Say freedom of speech, but we're going to take you off the air for a week. Right?
Oprah Winfrey.
Freedom of speech, but you can't really get to the heart of the issue because if you do, you're going to offend a certain sector. propaganda is the propagation of ideals. So if propaganda is the propagation of ideals, then would propaganda also be the policing of ideas? Who want to fuck with that? Y'all go in and deal with that.
When you say policing ideas, are you speaking of who they let speak, or what they say, and whether they get sanctioned for saying it?
My brother Corey did this show before. He said, first off, certain people on TV are only on TV because they've been selected and allowed to be in that position.
Exactly.
This is why you'll hear the audacity. This is a privilege for you to have made it to this place. That's how they program our kids. Listen, I got a young son, man. He playing basketball, and I'm telling my son right now, boy, you're a pawn. You're a pawn. And your desire is to become a champion, right? I said, but the only way that you can really maximize your platform, because right now you don't have one because you're a pawn, is to get to the other side of the chessboard and decide what piece you want to be. See, that's how you become a Jim Brown. That's how you become a Muhammad Ali. You become bigger than the game they're training you for. So now when you get to the other side of the board and you see injustices, this is why a lot of us are disappointed with the LeBrons and the Kobes of the world, because you have a huge platform. They can't take that money back now. You should be able to say, this is wrong. And if you don't do right by our folks, I'm going to organize a league-wide boycott. A league-wide boycott. Do you know how that would... whoa. But most people ain't going to use that. Corey got something, and then Bobby got something. Corey, Bobby.
As far as professional sports go, I really can't even imagine one person that I've seen who has the audacity to speak up like that. They've weeded out that type of man for the most part.
Uncoachable.
That type of man is rare, one who will speak up and say what he know he should say.
You speak up, you're uncoachable.
Right.
You can't come.
I think people really need to take heed to that and understand what we have become. If you look at professional sports, I don't care how much money they make or whatever platform, even Michael Jordan,
right.
They will not step out and speak and say what needs to be said.
Right.
And that's a result of the bitches running the community, just like you said.
Oh, God. Bobby?
I'm hopeful simply because these are human beings that we're talking about when we talk about they, we, whoever. And
who is they? I like when you say that. Go ahead, Bobby.
But in this instance, I'm speaking to the fact that you have a young brother like Richard Sherman who had an opportunity to just stay in his lane. Stanford guy, had, a bright mind, all of that kind of stuff. And he stepped outside of the box and said, hey, man, I'm from Compton, okay? So how y'all want to play this? I can go either way y'all want me to go.
That's who I'm modeling my son after, Richard Sherman, for sure. Go ahead, Bobby.
And you have just other individuals. Now, we don't have the momentum of that, but we have the example of that. It's just like the young guy that killed those people in the Middle East. They messed up when they showed him giving tribute to Syria. They really don't know that they should have just kept that thing as quiet as possible, because they're going to perpetrate what they were trying to suppress by giving him that platform.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one advantage that we have in this new world that we're living in, is they haven't closed all the portals yet.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, they spraying leaks all of the time because of this new internet thing that's going on.
Go ahead.
As usual, I agree with 99.98% of what you said. The only thing I don't agree with is when you say we are we are looking, these are humans. My issue with that is that is how you see them. That's not how they see you.
Well, we're in 100% agreement, because I can see where you're going with that.
And I think our interpretation needs to take a 180-degree shift. We need to stop looking at them as humans, and they need to start looking at us as humans.
Corey? Okay. Corey?
Geoff, I got to disagree with that a little bit. Let me tell you something. Your responsibility, first off, is to you and what you're doing.
Okay.
If you stop looking at somebody as a human just because they stop looking at you as a human, then the circle of bullshit continues. You have to be above the bullshit, because when the example is set and people point at you, you don't want people saying, "Oh, Geoff said because they do this, I'm gonna do this." You have to be who you are for real in life. If you're not who you are for real, you perpetrating, even if your intentions are good.
I get that. I get that. But I can't. This is what has lost countries' wars. The Vietnam War, for example.
Are you saying recognize the enemy?
Yes, I'm saying recognize your enemy, and you have to deal with your enemy where he is. That's our problem with this "we shall overcome," march, whine, repeat. We keep doing this because what we seem to miss is that the only thing that an oppressor respects is equal or greater aggression. That's it. This whole trying to appeal, take this from a dude who got his lunch money took on a regular. You cannot appeal to a bully. You got to either whoop his ass or keep giving him your lunch money. Those are your choices.
Isn't that what propaganda is all about, though? I mean, propaganda is all about demonizing someone so that you can kill them. All right?
Yes.
If you make this person less of a human in the eyes of everyone else, then you can justify
Then the
killing
masses
them.
will call for
So
it.
if we look at our oppressor, so to speak, as a human, like you said, if we humanize someone who's constantly demonizing us, then aren't we helping them? Because if we don't respond properly to bullshit, bullshit will continue to be visited upon us.
One quick note.
Go ahead, Bobby.
Brother James and I were sitting in the green room before the show started, and he showed me some information that otherwise would have made me want to just crawl up into the fetal position. And I asked him, I said, James, how is it that you even still alive, let alone in a position where you can share the kind of information that you are going to share on not only this show but around the country and parts of the world? And his response to me was he's learned how to navigate. And that's really the only thing that we can kind of hang our hat on, is that the deck is truly stacked against us, but it's still being played out by flesh and blood. And they will make mistakes.
I'm going to throw something in.
Wow, hold on one quick second, guys. We have a caller that's been trying to get on, and then I'll come back to you. And Corey Holcomb, was it Corey Holcomb who made that statement?
Yeah.
Knowledge is the new money.
No. That was that's something else that I was actually going to have my son come back in here and say.
That's
I teach my children, knowledge is the new money.
Knowledge is the new money, right?
But get away from
But if you're not the author of the knowledge, you're just the consumer of knowledge, right?
Right.
Oh, but that's a great point. We have a caller on the line. Caller, speak your mind. Zo, what mornings? Holla.
How you doing? It's Markel from Sacramento.
What's happening, Sacktown? What's going on?
Man, you guys talked about a lot of stuff in there right now, but basically, from my perspective, I feel like propaganda is necessary in a sense.
Speak to that.
Because it allows people like us that understand the way that society works and the things that we have to deal with in society. It allows us to learn a certain amount to be able to teach everyone else. So, in a sense, the masses, there's just going to be some people that ain't going to make it. It's just
Say that again.
Wow.
Say that again.
Oh, go ahead.
Say that again.
I said for the masses, there's just some people that aren't going to make it, and they allow us to be able to learn the stuff that we need to learn to be able to teach everybody else. So for them to be as a guide for, keeping the man off of our back, you know what I'm saying, so we can learn this knowledge and be able to teach everyone else, that it's definitely necessary in order in that sense.
Wow. Hey, man, I appreciate the call, man. Thanks for that wisdom. Dr. G had a point before we go to break. Doc?
Yeah, I don't know where this fits in, and I hope it does, because I hope it's not too out of left field. There's a difference between persuasion and influence.
Absolutely.
And I wrote a book on how real influence is. How do you persuade people without being pushy? Interesting thing that's happened to me recently. There's a site called LinkedIn. And LinkedIn, if you're in the work world, you're on LinkedIn, and they have these LinkedIn groups. Every group you can think of, they have on LinkedIn. There's these TED conference groups, and there's and if you contribute to the groups, you get to be a top contributor, top influencer. So currently on 5 groups with a membership of collectively 2 million people, I am the top contributor on all those sites. Wow. If you go there, you see a picture of my book, Just Listen. But here's how I've influenced them, is I never make a comment. I ask a question that people want to answer. And so maybe the way to influence people is how do you get other people talking, and then instead of taking issue with them, you show a kind of interest, but you ask them to talk about something or question something, but you keep them talking, because I think as long as you keep people talking, there's a fluidity and flexibility, and you can shift them, whereas if you're trying to persuade them, you're triggering kind of a reaction to you're trying to be persuasive. So it's fascinating, and I have much more influence by asking questions than making comments.
Okay, so listen, we got to take a quick break, but Corey has a follow-up to what Doc is saying, and when we come back from break, we'll talk about, hey, that's Truth playing in the background, turn it up! That's marching orders. I'm telling you, Truth's new records is coming, man. Y'all got to support this brother. He in the building right now. Incredible tracks, incredible lyrics. We'll be back at 2.2 Zoe Mornings. Holla!
Zap, 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 Mr. Jap, Mr. Jap. I'm a peace-loving guy myself. Oh boy, wait till the Admiral hears about this. Oh, I thought I heard something drop. Me for victory. Me'll stop him. Just like a toy for matches. Also, a big ton of gasoline and many firecrackers. So, I lose my face.
Man, cartoons aren't off limits.
They training the kids.
Man, listen, I got something I need you guys to go. This is a call to action. If you've been watching the Zoe Wood show and following it over the years, man, a friend of mine who's been out of town, out of the country actually, his name is Furpo Carr.
Furpo?
Furpo's the homeboy. from the Nickerson Gardens, but he talks like
yes.
I'm Furpo Carr. Talks like
silly Negroes.
Who was the black guy that just won Dancing with the Stars? Was
Cool nigga too.
Fonzie?
No, he just won Dancing with the Stars. Was
Ribeiro.
on Fresh
Alfonso.
Yeah. Who was his character on Fresh Prince?
Carlton.
He talks like Carlton Banks. That's who I call Furpo, jokingly. But let me just say this. Furpo's probably one of the smartest motherfuckers I ever met.
Yeah.
Speaks multiple languages, highly educated. Only weakness, little Jehovah Witnessing.
Yeah, that's which is how I don't know how he becomes a Christian after all the brain stuff.
Let me break this down. He wrote a book called Germany's Black Holocaust. Furpo Carr, PhD, from 1890 to 1945, and he talks about the Holocaust that happened before the German Holocaust in South Africa, where Germany went to South Africa and practiced Holocaust
dry running
techniques on black people. We don't hear nothing about it, and this is what we mean by propaganda, right? We will uphold, respect one Holocaust story and shun the other. These are things we got to deal with, right? So what happens is people's narratives become institutions. Do you see that? The cultural narrative of one type of victim, and that should never happen again at the hands of Hitler, right, supersedes its predecessor, right? This happened to black folk. Go get this book.
Hitler's a monster,
right?
What he's done to the Jews is horrible. What about what he did to the black people? Ah, shit, we've all done that.
Exactly. There's another book by Furpo Carr you got to get. The Reassassination of Malcolm X.
Wow.
Because remember that one guy who came out, Marble, whoever?
About a year ago, yeah.
But he died.
Yeah.
He came out and tried to say Brother Malcolm was homosexual. He tried to intimate that in his book. So what Furpo did was he went and got with Malcolm's sister and got the real story and talked about how Malcolm and his sister, mainly his sister because she was a master in real estate and business and money and helped set up the infrastructure for the Nation of Islam.
Wow.
The business infrastructure. She brought him in and he goes and tells the real story and talked about the propaganda of how they're trying to reassassinate. Much like the movie Selma. See, they want us to keep a particular kind of narrative alive, and then they put coon-ass niggas in position to verify and validate that particular narrative.
And then give out awards for how well we suffer.
No disrespect to Common, but Common will come out and say, oh, it inspires me to be a human. Dude, they only want to let you live a certain narrative through the Hollywood lens.
But wait, you have to
when your ass gonna do a Moore movie where you're conquering Spain? Are they gonna let us do that?
A Nat Turner.
A Nat Turner movie. No, you gotta do Django, a fictional motherfucker.
Yeah,
right?
There's nothing
Speak
more
to that, Corey.
offensive.
I want to say this about Common. Common, he's from Chicago. You know what I mean?
He's from the city.
But the reason you see Common doing all that is because his source of income nowadays comes from being plugged into that system. At one time he was a rapper and he spoke freely. Now he has to say that or his way of living will be cut off and he'll be back out here selling his CDs on the street. So it's important that people know what's going on.
Wow.
That's a great example of
Speak to
completely, totally selling out to the Android meme for money.
To the who? The Android meme. I love that.
Explain that for the listeners.
You've become a hypnotic receptacle for studios. You now have to anchor and
wait a minute. A hypnotic receptacle. That means you're a pussy.
That's a nice way.
You're getting dumped in.
Hey, I am an equal opportunity hammer on everybody. I don't do enough. There's plenty of white people that are complete total whores as well to this Hollywood system because of the money. And right now, and when I first came on here, I said to you that when the house is on fire, meaning the United States, freedom of speech, the Constitution, whatnot, all bets are off. And I would expect people in politics, sports, show business to get off their ass and instead of being gutless turds and taking the money and standing up and actually doing something. You mentioned about Common. I do remember that now he's in. Mm-hmm. He wants his residual checks. He wants to keep getting paid.
But you could say the same about Queen Latifah. When she first came, she was the queen. She was Afrocentric. Ice Cube, when he first came, he was niggas with attitudes. Now he's daddy daycare or some
Chuck
shit.
D? No, not Chuck D.
Not Chuck. No. But again,
even Ice Cube.
That's what I said.
You can see his resistance. Ice Cube has some type of resistance, which is why he wasn't at the Golden Globe Awards and things like that. And they can peep your resistance to wanting to stand up and say what they want you to say.
It's the ultimate propaganda when you masturbate to yourself. Hollywood masturbates to itself to amplify the states that it's entrained in the movie industry.
Checking out me with a fistful of me.
People don't understand, right, that war, before it is physical,
it's mental. Come on, man.
And war, right? War is violent by definition of the term. So there is a psychological, ideological violence that's being perpetrated onto the people. Like, a lot of people don't understand that that's what's going on. So when I look at what's happening, at some point, we as a people, we got to stand up and say, wait a minute, man, I got to fight this situation off of me. I got to question what I thought was true, what I thought was right. And I got to recognize that maybe I've overtly put a price on myself in order to have some comfort within this illusion. Corey?
So I got to say this. I think a lot of people do exactly what you said right there. But having the courage to do what you're supposed to do while you're alive is what most people lack. And if you do have the courage to do it, I'm telling you, man, you can save lives. Because there are people who are watching you and they like, man, I always wanted to do that. But they don't have...
But as long as they know, Corey, that's a great point. But as long as they know, them, as long as they know I can purchase your soul with an illusion, all bets are off. We got to take another quick break. Truth! Turn that truth up, man! Hey, take us out with truth. Turn it up.
Agents were a member of the church committee panel. They were there with the investigators for the church's committee asking questions just like the church's committee. And see, this is another thing that I find fault with, and this is another reason why I am not going to Washington, D.C., is that, again, I have been asked to come again for the second time. I'm not going again. For the simple reason that when I went up there with the idea that there were agencies investigating the Federal Bureau of Investigation, not the Federal Bureau of Investigation investigating itself.
You also were active in the infiltration of many cultural groups. Before we go into that step by step, how much research and study did the FBI engage in of black culture in the late 60s?
A great amount.
Give me an idea.
From the thing is, I can, they have a file on every type of magazine that blacks read. They have a file on the music. Music, dance, theater, actors, comedians, you name it, man.
And they would actually study these different...
Yes. Oh, yes, definitely.
What would they do with music?
To understand the people, you have to understand the culture. To infiltrate, you have to understand.
Take a look. I was not and am not a rat because I wasn't with the rats. I was never told I was an informant with a number. So in my own mind, I was not an informant. I was cooperating with investigations.
For about $35,000 a kilo, but I got to get more than one. Right. You know, I mean, if we're going to do this thing.
No, you're talking about some real.
I mean, 10 kilograms is like it's 350,000. That's a drop in the bucket. You know, we can go bigger. Every kilogram we bring in 3,500 kilos. How's that sound? So if we bring in 10, you make 35,000. But that's a check pocket.
Well, he can. What he's going to do, he'll do what he must do.
He can do it, 100 times over. Like
yeah. Right. You didn't have to see us to know that.
No.
Hey, remember that video we played? Listen, it's happening all. Remember that video we played about the founder of Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger?
Yeah.
And how Margaret Sanger says she went and handpicked charismatic black preachers and groomed them and paid them and changed their way of life so that they can be in alignment with the propaganda that was associated with Planned Parenthood.
Get rid of these unwanted babies.
Right, and it's eugenic. Right, it's eugenic agenda for the African American community.
Yeah.
There's always some well-spoken, articulate, coon-ass nigga who's really ready to live better than his own people.
You know, so what's interesting about him, the opening piece, when he was explaining what we saw after that was not true. If you'd have separated the two, he sound compelling, like, it wasn't me.
Right.
And then we saw the tape where he's sitting there buying, mounds of cocaine, and then they told us none of that's true. Yeah,
No, but hey Bobby, you gotta say it like Tommy Hearns would say it after the second fight with Sugar Ray Leonard. He was sitting on Arsenio Hall, and Arsenio said, "Did you win the tape? Did you win the fight?" Now Tommy's a little punch drunk, and his words is slurred. He said, "Boo the tape." Just boo the tape. Boo the tape. That's all we got to do with Al Sharpton is boo the tape. Go ahead, Corey.
So I'm going to do this like Dr. Goulston right here. I want to ask you a question. Do you think that drug dealers or preachers are? I mean, between the two of them, who's the bad people of the community?
Wow.
Spot on.
Wow.
That's not bad for the first.
But you know what? You know what's cold? That leads us to one of the biggest fucking propaganda pimps in the game. Bill O'Reilly.
Oh yeah.
Geraldo. Instead of dealing with the fact that, hey, Eric Garner got choked the fuck out, you guys want to do a different type of spin, PR spin, that's not technically a chokehold. Well, the motherfucker died in his armpit? What? His armpit choked him out. Well, that's not technically a chokehold. Well, the motherfucker died from it. Well, he died because he's fat and he's asthmatic. And there's a motherfucker draped around his neck like a designer scarf.
Yeah.
Right?
Can we go with that?
You see what I'm saying? And then what about that statement about instead of wearing "I can't breathe," why not wear T-shirts that says what?
I can breathe.
No.
If I don't.
No, it was better be a better father.
Oh yeah, that was.
That was Bill O'Reilly. Bill O'Reilly reiterated. Geraldo, go ahead, Corey.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to talk too much, but listen.
Nah, man, come on, you're in here.
When I watch the television and I see those guys, especially, who was that guy who used to be the mayor of New York?
Bloomberg?
Giuliani.
Giuliani was on television and he was saying more blacks kill each other on the street than white people do and all this stuff. It's really frustrating that nobody ever gets a chance to say, do you know how black people were, how we got to America and what has happened under your influence since we got here? They just like to state facts that come from a result of what they've done. They never talk about what they do.
Well, see, this is what motherfuckers don't recognize about stats. Stats are like text messages. They lack context. That's why texts need emojis. So you can know a motherfucker is joking. So you can know this was written in jest. Right. Before the emoji, you say, who the fuck are you talking to?
No subtext.
There was no subtext. There's no context. There's no humor. There's no subtlety in it. You can take any stat and twist it and make it fit your argument. Yes, you can say 90% of blacks, black on black crimes, but 86% of white people who suffer crimes are suffering it from other white people. And I guarantee you, if you go to each ethnic group is kicking their own ass worse than any other ethnic group.
Because you kill your neighbors.
80% of bitches who let me use their credit card who are not from the hood, the police make me give it back. And I think that's a fucked up stat.
Go ahead, Bobby.
Well, we've talked about controlling the narrative. It's whoever has the last word. And that's why the Bill O'Reillys and all those people who are consistently on the air, and then they also get to promote through the books that they write and what have you, their point of view, and the other voices that are muted become silenced over a period of time simply because they're not able to stay out there on the front line with that message long enough to be overheard, from the people in the echo chamber back there, the Al Sharptons and the usual suspects who are always telling us their version of the story, but they won't come right at. The brother that was on there with Giuliani, what's his name, Dr. whatever his name? Eric Dyson.
Yeah.
He had an opportunity to step out of the shadows that day and just grab that man's microphone and say, I'm not going to sit here and let you tell that goddamn lie. And sometimes that's what you have to do.
Right. Corey, he had a point.
Well, that's why I was saying, like, everybody needs to take witness and listen and just watch how the young people were out there in the streets protesting. They don't have guns and military training, but they were bold enough to stand up and say something's wrong. And that's why I was saying, like, Bobby, you're right. That is our last word. When half the country is standing out there in the street, it must be something wrong. So Bill O'Reilly and all these people who know how to twist it and make it look another way, which you can make anything look the way it's not.
Right.
Because I do that.
Right. Well, that's debate. That's protagonist, antagonist. That's how television shows are written. It's not a good show unless there's tension, unless people disagree.
Yeah, emotional
right?
tension.
Dr. G. Oh, go ahead.
In the words of my Uncle James, if you look a lion in the face, it's a lion. But if you turn around and look up his ass, it's just dark and stanky.
What? And
was almost. You look a lion in the face.
It's a lion. But if you turn him around, look up his ass, you just up somebody's ass. It's perspective. You can turn something.
No, it's an ass.
It's an
It's not perspective. I think we all agree that's an ass. God damn it, Jeff, stop it.
So is a girl's ass the same?
As a lion's ass, right?
I only have one frame of reference in that subject. I ain't never looked up no lion's ass.
Wow. Which ass is more dangerous, the lion's ass or the girl's ass? What the fuck, Jeff?
The girl.
Anyway, Dr. G.
No, I was just.
Let me set you up. I admire the Jews because not only do they keep their narrative, they have an electric fence around their narrative.
And dogs.
Right? And dogs. And snipers. And surface to air missiles. You're not fucking with the Jewish narrative.
Yeah, we got an Iron Dome defense.
Right. I don't give a fuck. You guys got a biosphere around that bitch. My question is, how is it that you guys are so protective and successful at protecting your narrative, and how could black people take some note?
Besides being narrative makers. Besides that, on
the
outside.
Go ahead, Dr. G.
I'm sorry.
You know, it's interesting. When you ask most people, what percentage of the world do you think are Jews? A lot of people will say, 20%, 10%. It's 0.2%.
Wow.
0.2% of the world are Jews. So the fact is, and to survive thousands of years, and they were slaves in Egypt and all that sort of stuff. So I think it's a matter of everyday survival. And I think their feeling is, if we don't pull together, we're 0.2%. That is like nothing. And so I don't even think they have a choice if we. And so that's the worry, is because they all get assimilated. There's less of a interest in that sort of survival thing. But something I want to go back to about the propaganda thing. I keep building on the thing with Geoff. I'll try and talk in my voice because I can't do. I can't do Corey doing Dr. Goulston, so I will do Firpo Carr.
Oh, wow.
So it's purple car.
Oh, boy.
Now, I want to go back to something that Geoff reiterated.
Hurry up, because the music is playing.
Okay, so it's all about money. You want to get people to care, you have to hit them where their money is. And that's what we've been talking about. Until blacks or whatever group wants to influence anyone else finds a way to pull together and hit people in their pocketbook, ain't going to do anything.
It's true. That's true. Listen, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, man, this shit has been crazy right now. The Propaganda Show, So What Morning, all new 2015. We'll be back at 2.2.
And this reminds me of the difference between chess and the Chinese game of Go. Chess is very much attrition-based. You start the board with many, many pieces. Over the game, they're eliminated. And at the end, you've only got a few pieces left standing.
The object of chess is to force your opponent to surrender by eliminating his pieces. Each piece has its own rank and can only move in a specific way. The goal of chess is to kill the king.
In contrast to that, the Chinese game of Go starts with the board empty, and you use as few pieces as possible to acquire as much territory as you can. And in that sense, it's a very resource-efficient strategy.
The object of Go is not the destruction of the opponent's force, but the conquest of space. The goal of Go is to capture the most territory with the least number of stones. Using a Go-like strategy, Sun Tzu decides where and when he fights. He avoids the strongest part of Nanghua's army and attacks where it is weakest. Sun Tzu's guerrilla tactics against the Chu forces echo throughout history. But it's during an infamous war more than 2,000 years later that they resonate most loudly, and where Sun Tzu's ultimate secret becomes most evident. It's the mid-1960s, and the world's greatest superpower battles North Vietnamese communists in a country smaller than the state of Montana. General William Westmoreland, a hard-nosed World War II combat officer, sees the battlefield like a chessboard, where armies stand and fight head-on. But unlike chess, Vietnam has no clear objective for Westmoreland to attack.
It's a classic case of a general fighting the last war, and in the sense that the lessons he had learned there only applied partially to Vietnam. There were no fixed objectives to be taken. There were no fixed units to be destroyed.
No one understands this better than North Vietnamese General Vo Nguyen Giap, who sees Vietnam, like Sun Tzu would, as a go board. Instead of facing the overwhelming U.S. military directly, he uses insurgent forces, the Viet Cong, to stage hit-and-run attacks all over the country.
We see something very similar to Sun Tzu's raids into Chu in North Vietnamese tactics and operations in the Vietnam War.
Giap has learned Sun Tzu's principle that it is more important to outthink your enemy than to outfight him.
New final thought. Oh man, Chris is cutting up right now. The new videos is sick. I had to play that last video as a part of my final thought. It was important that I do that. Let me just say this about propaganda. All forms of court jesters / entertainers include politicians, entertainers, rappers, singers, dancers, preachers, and your parents. All of these court jesters are your teachers, because media is a medium to educate the unenlightened. This is why you'll hear people say, oh, in layman's terms, layman means commoner. The word population from the Latin populoso, the masses of unlearned animals. Vulgar, your religion. Okay, we're going to translate the Bible King James into English 1611 AD from the Latin Vulgate. Vulgar, vulgate, vulgus, right? Latin, vulgus means unlearned commoners. Stupid people who wouldn't understand the esoteric symbology behind the words. So we have to make it literal for the morons, right? We have to dumb your whole spirit down. If we dumbed God down for you, what makes you think we didn't dumb down money? What makes you think we didn't dumb down politics? Right? We're going to feed you black and white thought, stereotypes, so we can constantly pit your ass against each other so we can keep you distracted with the concept of right and wrong, good and bad, while we're fucking controlling the masses. Oh, these people are right-wingers. Let's put some left-wing shit out there to get their dander up. Masters of this bullshit-ass game of distraction called propaganda. We, as a society collectively, are a society of spin. We can spin anything. We can make anything acceptable to you stupid motherfuckers because you don't read and you are educated by the media. So because you don't read, there's a book out there, Religious Literacy, because they've done research that said most Americans, although they're Christians, don't read. They don't even read the book they profess to believe in. You ask them some basic fucking questions about their book. Steve Prothero is the author of the book. You ask them some basic questions about their fucking book. They can't go 5, 6 deep into the questions. They don't speak no language. They don't know shit, but they profess because they believe. The root word of believe is belie. Belie is Latin, to give the lie away as a gift. From Middle English, Bellalogian, the lie is a gift from me to you, which produces the English word believe. Niggas is just stupid across the world, but you believe in the devil. And part of the prerequisite of even being in the Church of Satan is that you can't be stupid. That's one of the prerequisites for being in the Church of the Devil. You got to be smart if you're going to come worship this shit. But they told you never to question and have faith. Oh my God, you don't even know faith means fact. The Arabic, Hebrew, and all the Semitic languages, iman, imani, amen, amen ra. That which is truth beyond a doubt, fact beyond a doubt. But you turn it into belief. Oh, fucking good ship Jesus riding ass niggas. I'm just saying, this is a terrible situation. Your thoughts are creative. Before I get to that, the only way to become a sheeple is you must be willing to submit your authorship over your own thoughts. Society says this is normal. Kumo D, one of my best friends, told me, our sisters have taken the blue pill with cognac. They've downed that bitch. They part of the system. And it's fucked up because they are the most spiritually creative of us. And they're keeping, the system is sustaining itself off of the sister's belief in it. And as long as they believe in it, we got to follow suit because they are, well, that's our woman. Mm-hmm. And she judged us by a standard that we didn't author. And she's bought in. She's got both feet in. It's fucked up, but it's the truth. I'm sorry I had to say it. Your thoughts are creative. But if an outside entity controls your thoughts, you are by default a sheep in need of a shepherd. The one last thing about ideological war. Just like in real war, did the Rothschilds fund both sides of the war? Was Gaddafi, well, maybe not Gaddafi, but was Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden both CIA agents first? So they was on our side and then not on our side? What kind of double dealing, double dipping is you motherfuckers doing? And then you come in as motherfucking bootleg Superman to clean up a mess your ass created in the first place. Please understand this. Both sides, just like a physical war, both sides of a mental war can be financed by the same person too. I.e. MLK versus Malcolm X. Do you see? The whole civil rights movement was orchestrated to keep you choosing between two stalwart heroes that, if we were more objective as a people, could have laid aside the differences that separated us. It was orchestrated. This is why they keep that narrative of diversity. As long as you come into a system that is white supremacist by nature and you're asking them for diversity, you keep them in power because they're in a position to give you what you demand. Weak-minded bitch-ass motherfuckers. It's a new day. It's a new motherfucking day. Y'all don't like the way I speak? I'm sorry, but I gotta speak this way in order to shake you out of the mediocre doldrum that you're in. Read a motherfucking book. Be objective, right? Pimp your weaknesses, right? Upgrade your intellectual acumen. Buy a dictionary. Buy a thesaurus. Challenge the shit your mama taught you, right? Understand that her hurt raised you. Understand that you can undo that hurt if you challenge it instead of protecting it and projecting it out into your next relationship. This is some real shit we got to deal with in order to come together as a collective, without the relationship residue from the past. I'm Zoe what? Zoe Williams. And that's my final thought. With that said, Bobby G, where can they find you?
At Glanton Smith on Twitter, realmendon'tplay.com. And they're going to find me running Corey Holcomb out of the gymnasium in about 2 weeks.
Shit. That's not going to happen. James, where can they find you, brother?
They can find me at jamesmartinezmedia.net. And I'll just say this, that there's always a countermeasure for propaganda. One of the countermeasures for propaganda is to the same way you regulate your diet for your body, you can regulate the diet of your mind.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that it's done, it's rarely done because it's difficult to achieve, is to do a full media fast. Media fast means no interfacing with any media at all for at least a week in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
And that changes people's perceptions dramatically.
Wow. Corey, where can they find you, brother? We on tomorrow, yeah?
Yeah, we on tomorrow, and I just want to say this to all of the sisters out there. If you got a child support case against the father of your children, you fell for the bullshit, you lousy bitch.
Dr. G?
Yeah, examperformance.com. Examperformance.com. If you email admin@examperformance.com, you can get and say, Dr. Mark sent me, you get a free course in helping your kids not get psyched out by SATs and things like that.
Go to MIPTAGS, MIPTAGS.com, and search Geoff Brown, and you'll find all my crazy shit there.
Truth, really quick.
Yo, thanks for all the support playing my music. You can get, man, find me on Facebook at Reginald King, and you can go ahead and get Boycott Christmas on CD Baby under Beat Cartel.
Yo, I'm out. Go to my website right now. Only 25 copies of The Rebirth of Seeds. Please go there right now. I will send a CD. IamZoeWilliams.com. Do it right now. Call to action. Recycle Black Dollars. Weed Juice. Easy Boy Web. Yo, please support. We'll be back next week with another Thunderer. Holla, deuces.
It's about me taking her out, but I'm broke. Only got enough money to eat and to smoke. If not, somebody might get choked out. I keep a shotgun loaded right next to my bed, and a machete under my pillow up under my head. I don't take threats lightly, but I be paying attention. I remember what that motherfucker said. I remember the nigga when his ass is dead. I be putting something to that head, saying talk now. Is you really ready to walk that walk now? I'm going home tonight. Fuck what you say, my nigga. Is you about that life? Dealing with the bullshit, the stress and strife. No matter how hard you work, it don't get right.
You are watching 2 Radio.